My name is Joey Thompson. I'm a licensed IFMGA mountain guide and BCA ambassador. I'm here today to talk about the Stealth Probe series and why it's my go-to probe. The Stealth Probe features easy deployment, packs up small, and has depth markings that are big enough that I can actually read them while I'm probing. And they also have small 1 centimeter increments for measuring layers in a snow pit. In addition, I really like the laser etched depth markings on the Stealth 300 and 330. If you spend a lot of time using your probe, you will love how the laser etched markings won't wear off like other probes, especially if you're like me and you use your probe to isolate columns using an ECT cord. Notice how we have 3 orange sections on the probes. The entire first section is orange to warn you that you're getting close to the victim to prevent injury. There are also markings at 1.5 and 2.5 meters. These are to ensure that all members of the probe line are probing to the same depth during the first and second passes of an organized probe line. The Stealth 300 probe now breaks down into smaller segments to fit into your pack even easier. I really like how, when disassembled, the Stealth probe makes a slightly smaller bundle due to the top section being nested inside the next one, resulting in fewer sections in your probe bundle. Finally, if you've ever been on a probe line using other probes, you may experience being whipped in the face by loose cables. With our Stealth Quick Lock system, there is no loose cable, so you don't need to worry about it. To learn more, check us out at backcountryaccess.com.
This is the Salewa Lightning Carbon 240 Plus probe, an extendable 6-section carbon fiber professional probe for ski touring and alpine mountaineering. Avalanche safety matters. It's engineered to deploy fastly. The pull grip and automatic latching steel cable save important time in emergency situations. If required, this probe can be quickly extended at the top with additional segments. There is a teardrop-shaped tip for improved penetration, and the oversized 13 mm diameter carbon tubes ensure maximum stiffness. It comes with 5 cm markings, so you know how deep you are plunging. A strong and light probe for emergency situations when reliability is key.
In this episode, we're going to talk about probing, and we're also going to talk about shoveling. Shoveling is what takes us the longest in an avalanche rescue, and it's also very physically draining. So we're going to talk about some strategies that we can use to efficiently and effectively remove snow with one person or with multiple people. So what we have going on here is we have one buried person, one missing person, 2 searchers. And we're taking it just from a fine search. We took our skis off at about 10 meters, and now I'm pinpointing, okay, Jason, I have 2 meters. Take out your shovel and probe. So I'd have Jason take out the rescue gear while I just double check, really zone in on that smallest number that I'm finding. Okay. It's 1.30 meters right here, so I'm gonna wanna mark that spot, right? 1.30 meters. Jason's got his probe out. Would you put together my gear after you get that? So I'm having him just put together my gear. I'm gonna start to probe. When I'm probing, I'm looking for a change in depth, or I'm looking for a spongy feeling. We really want to make sure that when we get a probe strike, that it's a probe strike. The last thing we want to do is dig for 10 or 15 minutes and then realize we just hit a firm piece of snow. So as I'm probing, I'm spiraling out, not leaving a space greater than if someone were standing straight up and down in the snow. All right, there it is. Probe strike. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my probe. I'm going to see that's at about 130 centimeters right there. If I have another probe really handy, I might just want to go ahead and be like, yep, 130, that's another probe strike. Okay, we're gonna leave that probe in. Now, what we're gonna do with 2 diggers, since it's over 1 meter deep, I'm gonna start digging right at the probe, and Jason's gonna move plus time and a half downhill from the probe and start digging there. And what I want to accomplish is I want to have a slope that goes into the bottom of the probe. I don't want it to be greater than 25 degrees, so snow's not rolling back into that. And I also want it to be about arm's width wide. so that when I get to the person, it's not just a little air hole, but I'm able to actually bring that person, excavate that person from the snow and lay them on that platform. They need to have air, but they also need to be able to expand their lungs and take a breath. If we get a probe strike with 2 searchers, 1 missing person at about 90 or less than a meter deep, what we're gonna do then is Jason and I are gonna be side by side, and we're gonna take 1 step back from the probe and start digging right there. If we had another person in this scenario, they would be downhill of us, digging in from the downhill side, or they would be removing our snow once we start moving it downhill. So if there are 4 people, 5 people, we're just lining up and removing snow, especially in a deep burial. And this person was buried 215 centimeters or more. What we'd want to do is the first person would start up here. We're just putting our shovel on our hip for spacing, and we're just keeping that spacing going with multiple people. And what we're doing is we're just digging down, we're removing snow to the side, both of us, and then we're just pushing it back. And then I'd be pushing it back towards Jason, he'd be pushing it to the side if he can, or he'd be just pushing it back to the next person. So it really is important to use these strategic shoveling techniques effectively and efficiently. Digging takes the most amount of time, and it's also extremely tiring and takes a lot of energy. So we want to make sure that if you're in back and you see the person up front starting to slow down, you can tell them to rotate. If you're up front, please try to notice that you're slowing down and you're digging, and rotate. These videos are a great first step, but I highly recommend taking an Avalanche course and practicing with your Avalanche rescue gear before you head out into the backcountry this season.
G3 offers 2 types of Avalanche probes, an aluminum probe called the Speed Tech and a carbon probe called the Speed Tech Carbon. Both come in 2 different lengths. There's a 240 centimeter length for the Speed Tech aluminum and a 300 centimeter length, and there's a 240 for the Speed Tech Carbon as well, and a longer one which is a 320. The aluminum version comes also in an L version, which is G3's female product line. The L Speed Tech is the same material and technology as the standard Speed Tech. It's just a different shorter length and a different color. How would you choose between the aluminum Speed Tech and the Speed Tech Carbon? The carbon here is obviously the premium product. It is extremely lightweight and very stiff. The aluminum one is very reliable. It's a good mix of stability and lightweight. Obviously not as light as the carbon, but also comes in at a more affordable price. Let's talk about some of the technical details of G3 probes. G3 probes are all quick deploy probes. That's the most important thing in case of an avalanche scenario. An avalanche scenario is a very stressful situation, so the last thing you want to worry about is how your probe works. Quick deploy means you pull your probe out of your backpack, grab it at the end or the handle, throw it out, quickly pull it, fix it, and you're ready to go. G3 probes have aggressive hardened aluminum tips that make it very easy to probe. Our probes also have tech measurement markings, which are basically length markings, which you can use in a variety of situations. In the fun environment, it would be just to measure things, things like snow depth. More importantly, in the avalanche scenario, it's used to determine the depth of the buried victim. And then also in snow research, it's used in a variety of situations, most importantly determining snow profiles, snow depth, etc. The whole design of the G3 probes is built around a philosophy of simplicity and reliability. Things like the ferrules here with their cone-shaped elements, the very easy hands and locking mechanism, all of this is purely mechanical. It doesn't rely on any springs or other support. Effectively, why? Because the least thing you want is your probe icing up and not deploying or locking properly. And that cannot happen with that really simple and very effective design of the G3 probes.
At Arva, we've been designing avalanche rescue equipment for over 30 years. Equipped with our rack lock locking system and compact tube segments, the Ski Trip Probe is the ideal companion for the traveling skier or snowboarder. 30 centimeters long when folded make this probe easy to stow in your backpack. The cone inserts at the end of each tube segment make this probe quick and easy to deploy. By simply pulling on the handle, the rack lock locking system allows you to quickly tension the cable when deploying your probe. The handle clips to the tube to stay out of the rescuer's way when probing. Simply press on the metal lever to unlock and dismantle the probe. The metal cable slides perfectly between each tube segment to make the probe easy to fold up. Compact and lightweight, this probe will fit perfectly into any gear kit for skiers and snowboarders who love to travel and explore snow-covered terrain.